I also want to talk a little bit about the article itself and the time in which Russell lived and wrote. So our particular article, The Value of Philosophy, was actually originally published as the last chapter in a book called The Problems of Philosophy that Russell published in 1912. And this book was a popular book intended for a general audience discussing various problems in philosophy. To get a better sense of what we mean by a general audience during Russell's lifetime, I want to point out how many people actually sought and obtained university degrees in the United Kingdom. So this chart that I've got here doesn't even go back to 1912. But in 1919, we can see that less than 1,000 people received university degrees in the United Kingdom. Right? We can contrast that with the most recent year on this chart, 2009, in which some 350,000 people received university degrees. So when Russell's writing for a general audience here, he's writing for an audience of people who don't have university degrees and who aren't pursuing university degrees, because that was an extremely rare thing at the time that he was living and writing. In the chapter, Russell uses man to refer to human beings consistently throughout. This use of the term man to refer to human beings is sometimes called the gender-neutral use of man. And during Russell's lifetime, it was considered perfectly acceptable and conventional to use that term man to refer to human beings. Since that time, however, it's considered to be not gender-neutral at all. And in fact, the conventions of our society, our time, are that it's sexist to use the term man to refer to human beings in that way. But for Russell, it was a perfectly legitimate use of the term. And it doesn't reflect any malicious nature or sexism on his part. Now, in the article, we'll find that Russell ties his discussion about the nature and value of philosophy both to science and to practical concerns. And so we want to understand why it is that Russell did that. Why does Russell emphasize philosophy in contrast to practical concerns? And so, in order to help us understand that, we want to sort of understand the historical context of Russell's life. One of the most important aspects of the period leading up to Russell's life and during Russell's life is the Industrial Revolution in the United Kingdom. There are really two periods of rapid industrialization in Britain during and prior to Russell's writing this particular article. And together, these two industrial revolutions transformed the way that British people thought about the world and the way that they lived. The 1780s brought mechanized production of textiles, so cloth, and increasing steam power and iron production. The 1840s and 1850s saw a period of rapid innovation, including the adoption of locomotives, steamships, and iron smelting, as well as the introduction of technologies like the telegraph, which allowed for the long-distance transmission of information at very rapid rate. The 1870s also ushered in new steel-making techniques, mass production using assembly lines, electrical grid systems, large-scale manufacture of machine tools, and increasingly advanced machine and steam-powered factories. In addition to this rapid transformation of society by industrialization, there was also, during Russell's lifetime, an explosion of science and mathematical knowledge. Within a period of approximately 60 years, say, from 1870 to about 1930, the groundwork for atomic physics, atomic chemistry, quantum mechanics, statistical mechanics, and space-time physics, that is, special and general relativity, all fell into place. So, for instance, Darwin publishes The Origin of the Species in 1859. And by the time Russell was born in 1872, people were starting to realize the real intellectual impact of those ideas. In 1905, mere 7 years before Russell published this article, we find Einstein's miracle year. And that's the year where Einstein published 3 important papers, one of which earned him the Nobel Prize in Physics, right? His paper on the photoelectric effect, his paper where he outlines special relativity, and his paper on atomic physics and statistical mechanics. There's a rapid development in logic and mathematics during Russell's lifetime as well. So, for instance, the first wave of the development of modern statistics began in the 1870s and continued through the 1920s. Work by Francis Galton, Carl Pearson, Ronald Fisher, and William Gossett transformed statistics into a rigorous mathematical discipline that could be used for analysis, not just in science, but in industry, politics, and social policy as well. Russell himself contributed to one of the most significant mathematical projects, though ultimately an unsuccessful project, during his lifetime, and that's the attempt to axiomatize mathematics. If mathematicians were able to axiomatize mathematics, it would have allowed them to derive all mathematical knowledge from a few simple and obvious truths. And indeed, even as Russell was writing this article that we're reading, he was also writing his greatest contribution to this axiomatization project. So between 1910 and 1913, Russell co-authored the 3-volume Principia Mathematica with Alfred North Whitehead. And in this volume, he attempts to derive all the truths of basic arithmetic from a few simple axioms together with set theory. It's against this background of rapid industrialization and rapid development of rigorous scientific, mathematical, and logical knowledge that Russell wants to argue for the value of philosophy. And so that's why we see him contrast philosophy with both science and with the concerns of the quote-unquote practical man.